I definitely expect Astrogoth nerfs in the 3.1 update, but in the meantime, if you're struggling to kill him, I do have a solution for you. And its name is Tyrion. This is not writer of Rohan's replay, actually, it's somebody else, but nonetheless has Tyrion, who is the best suited character in the game, in my opinion, to take on Astrogoth. Main reason being is that he has very good stats, armor piercing damage, and of course, massive fire resistance at 40%, has a built-in rebirth, some decent support abilities. Unfortunately, does not deal magic damage on his melee attack, which he probably should, given the flaming magical nature of his sword. Thankfully, he doesn't deal fire damage, though, which would obviously make him worse in this scenario, although still may be viable. The Fireborn is definitely an interesting choice, given that they deal fire damage, but we'll see how they trade here against these Hashut's Ravagers. We've got a staunch line of spears mixed with some White Lions here for the High Elves, Lothern Seaguard, a couple of them, and some Silver Helms out on the flank. And for the Chaos Dwarfs, this time it's Astrogoth, couple of Blunderbusses. Yeah, 3 Blunderbusses, interesting choice. A lot of Laborers, and then these Infernal Ironsworn advancing, Bull Centaur with Great Weapon. Fairly standard stuff. Fireborn are going to get a hold in the woods here, although they don't have Strider. It's still going to be a great engagement for them against the Hashut's Dark Ravagers. And it looks like... Oof, we're missing this engagement. Yeah, they do actually get caught in the woods there. Speaking of getting caught out, in the front line here, the Infernal Ironsworn fail to get their blasting charges off appropriately, which means the White Lions are going to get in without having been absolutely blown to smithereens. Another thing that's definitely up on the nerf block is these Infernal Ironsworn blasting charges are a little bit overtuned, and they just, as a unit, just overall, I think, are slightly too cheap, especially when you compare them with traditional Order Dwarf, what are they called? Ironbreakers. But anyway, Elven Archers are going to pour in their fire, the White Lion Infantry gets in here, and it's going to be a pretty decent engagement for both sides. Honestly, not really one side getting a very decisive advantage for the time being. But it's pretty interesting to see how, despite their 85 armor and missile block chance, Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses, due to their low HP, actually do end up taking a decent amount of damage from those Lothern Seaguard. Not the craziest thing in the world, but it's something. Although up close, they are going to blast these Silver Helms as they try and get into combat here. Dwarf Warrior, or the Dwarf player here, rather, deployed in a pretty tight formation, which does mean that the High Elves are going to be able to pretty easily disrupt a lot of this and kind of get through and create some chaos, not allow these missile units to really fire very effectively. So far, that definitely has been the case, but we'll see once these Silver Helms have been seen off. Let's check back in with Tyrion. Astrogoth, in case you're wondering, is just running around doing basically whatever he wants, but not having a massive impact at the moment. These Fireborn are still trying to grind it out with the Hashut's Dark Ravagers. Of course, they do gain the anti-large bonus extra damage, but also they are subjected to the fire resistance. It looks like the Bull Centaur Great Weapons actually came out here to decisively try and swing this engagement. But if all Bull Centaurs have some fire resistance, they also have physical resistance. Is that just the Dark Ravagers, I guess? Interesting. Yeah, they themselves also are benefiting from that quite a bit, so they're pretty tanky, all things considered. And the Fireborn, you can see, are slowly getting ground down. We've got some Goblin Laborers coming to support, so Tyrion's going to have to extricate himself from this engagement if he wants to go fight Astrogoth, which is what he really ought to be doing here. But regardless, the Elf front line actually ends up doing fairly well, which is not something I get to say super often, but of course it's just Laborers, and without the blasting charges, now there's some blasting charges, murdering the White Lions along with my frame rate as the Ash Storm kicks in there, getting them some extra damage. So yeah, I mean, that definitely needed to happen to the White Lions on the approach. Instead, it did not, and this engagement ends up being a little bit of a wash. I mean, Chaos Dwarfs are able to fight back pretty decisively, but they also take very significant losses in the process, especially to the Blunderbusses, which are not particularly cheap. Not a great unit to just be losing out like that, but Tyrion then gets slightly stuck on the Ironsworn, which is just fine. So let's see if he's able to get out and get onto Astrogoth. Right now, things are looking a little grim for the High Elves. They're starting to run out of steam to a degree. Thankfully, the Lothar and Seaguard are all still mostly pretty healthy, but here we go. Now, both these warriors can draw their sabers. Just absolutely get blasted by blasting charges. No, fight it out. Astrogoth trying to get away, actually. It might be smart to just avoid Tyrion as much as possible with Astrogoth and go fight other stuff. But it looks like, no, actually, Chaos Dwarf player is going to decide to take the engagement. You might think with all the support around for the Chaos Dwarfs, might go better for them, but Tyrion actually is going to trade fairly decently. He does get the Ash Storm, of course. That's going to lower his fire resistance significantly, given the weakness to fire. Yeah, minus 40%, so basically completely removes it, but still, otherwise it would be directly weak to fire, right? So it definitely is beneficial there. Meanwhile, the Lothar and Seaguard managed to get some pretty critical shots on these Bull Centaurs as they fight against the White Lions here. Hopefully we'll be able to break their leadership. Bull Centaurs are getting very, very low. Get some wood, High Elves also coming in. Get some Spearmen back from route. The Sea Guards are just about out of ammunition in melee. It looks like a regrowth on those Lion Infantry. And they still have 59 unit models online, so despite them having a very low amount of HP, that's a pretty good cast of regrowth. They should be able to get a lot of healing out of that. Go above 50% HP, potentially. And suddenly, the support situation is, like, again, reversed back into the High Elves' favor. Staunch Spears holding out against Iron Swords. A pretty doomed engagement, but as long as they can buy Tyrion enough time to get his work done. Although right now, he's not really doing much, just bugging out on his animations, which is a little bit unfortunate, but hopefully won't last too long. The Lion Infantry, of course, can also come in and just deliver some direct armor-piercing damage. But things are looking pretty tight, so let's keep it close. Spearmen interrupting the blunderbusses. And the laborers with their absolutely massive armor-piercing weapons. They're going to get some hits against the Lion Infantry, but obviously Lion Infantry just much better stats and leadership, able to actually break and shatter some of those Orc laborers. TSB now can get in a surround. There's a lot of Iron Sworn still left, but looks like they actually dropped their attack order and are going to get rear charged by the Lion Infantry. Lion Infantry has some charge bonus. They have 18 charge bonus, which is definitely more than nothing. A little bit of an Earthblood there as well to keep them topped up in HP. Response is going to be an Ash Storm from Astrogoth as he kind of cycles in and out here to charge on in. But let's keep the health bars up for the time being so we can try and judge how this engagement is actually going. Again, it's pretty much a wash, I would say, more or less at this point. Both players are basically trading evenly, I would say. Astrogoth has been burning a lot of his magic, but so have the Elves here. Mage wisely just kind of staying out of the engagement for the time being, allowing that Winds of Magic to build and just use the healing to good effect before she potentially gets routed, which is possible, given her very low leadership. But the Ironsworn start to get ground down. Another Earthblood there, and the Lions, again, like half their unit models online for this unit. Spearmen helping to eat the charge of those Hobgoblins. Keep them from doing too much work. Ashford Stark Ravagers do get 4 of their unit models in. They're going to throw some of their throwing axes into this engagement, so just to add a little bit of extra chaotic element here. Tyrion, though, just relentlessly grinding against the Ironsworn due to their low-ish offensive output. I mean, 43 attacks, certainly. It's definitely not bad. Decent weapon strength as well, 42 with 10 AP. 10 AP is not incredible. It's definitely there, but a lot of things coming into play as well. The missile resistance, for example, of the White Lion Infantry helps them against the very kind of tattered Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses. Less than half their unit models online. Still dangerous to a degree, but especially given they're out at their max range, not going to be getting the most solid of hits. Going to be missing a few of their shots, and yeah, that missile resistance also coming into play there. Astrogoth, again, just trying to avoid Tyrion kind of screening through these infantry troops in order to not try and fight him in melee directly. But it looks like the Lions might run out of steam. We get another regrowth here, and a stand your ground puts them to 65 melee defense. Lots of healing. The Vigor refresh also is very important in this late game. Them going all the way back up to fresh means they can fight much more effectively against these units. They're also on a very slight slope. Creative Assembly recently released sort of a blog detailing the elevation mechanics, which I haven't had a chance to cover on the channel. I actually might do a full video breakdown of it. It's a really good explanation of the mechanic, to be honest, and I definitely support them doing that in the future. Anyway, tangent aside, Ironsworn, it looks like, are eventually going to fall to the Elves, and finally Tyrion is able to get some consistent contact with Astrogoth. Another big advantage for Tyrion here is his speed. Obviously, 95 speed, significantly faster than Astrogoth, even though Astrogoth is quite fast for a dwarf. He's gonna struggle in this situation. It looks like Astrogoth also did not bring his item to give himself more physical resistance at the cost of speed. May end up being a mistake, but let's fast forward a little bit, as this game has gone on for quite some time already. Tyrion, again, basically 1v1, not exactly, but more or less the armies just trade, and then we're left with just Tyrion and a handful of White Lion infantry versus Astrogoth in the late game. So this is a situation where, against a lot of factions, a lot of characters, Astrogoth would just straight up carry. But against Tyrion, one of the best duelists in the game, and with his specialized fire resistance and very high stats, this becomes a nightmare for Astrogoth to try and deal with. I mean, look at the difference in attack and defense, and Astrogoth is already considered to have very good attack and defense, right? Needs Cascading Fire Cloak to even be close to Tyrion's melee defense on his baseline with Martial Mastery. So just a very impressive stat line for Tyrion, and a very good use case for him. So we'll continue to fast forward. Astrogoth tries to run away. Going to be completely ineffective though, and Tyrion carries the end. So big thanks to Sal here for sending this one in. It was definitely a fun one. Tyrion getting some great value and clutching the game at the end definitely made me happy. Lion infantry also able to get in. Again, mistake by JJ here, not getting the blasting charges off on that approach. Or his two Ironsworn, of course, they both still end up paying for themselves, so it's not the biggest issue in the world. Two of the blunderbusses don't pay out either, but one of them definitely does. And then, of course, the bulls are just insane right now. I respect the restraint, though, only taking two. It does show a certain amount of respect for your opponent, I would say. Yeah, Fireborn also able to somehow pay for themselves despite everything. And then the two Lothern Seaguard also super clutch here. I mean, just used all their ammunition, fought well in melee. Such a great unit. Definitely still, even to this day, despite the fact there's basically an entire faction dedicated to hybrid units, they're still the best. So that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.